Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Divyanka and I'm a doctor of pharmacy here in the US. On this channel, FocusRx, I really strive to provide you guys with resources to build your ideal professional life. In our professional lives, a resume is a literal living document that we have to update every single year, every few months, as things change in our life, and it is something that is so imperative and important to the success of our career. Now, if you guys are not aware, through FocusRx, I have a personalized resume review service where you guys can sign up for your resume to be personally reviewed and edited by myself. And I have been running this for a while now, and a lot of you guys have come through and sent your resumes, and I reviewed a lot of them. And as I've done that over the last year or so, I've picked up on a few trends that I see over and over again. So in today's video, I wanted to go over the 7 most common mistakes that I have seen with pharmacy resumes, both through what you guys have sent me and also just in general. All these mistakes honestly apply to any type of pharmacy career. I have seen these across the board, and some of these things are from pharmacy schools and some of these things are just things that I've picked up in general. So overall, I hope this is helpful. I think that if you are in a phase of really revamping your resume, or honestly, even if you just have a resume that you are happy with, make sure that these things are not happening on your resume. Because honestly, as a student, I didn't hear these things myself, and it would have been very helpful if I did. I've learned these things and picked them up along the way from different industries, and of course from the pharmacy industry, from professionals. And so I hope this really does help you guys in making sure that your resume is in tip-top shape. Let's just get right into the mistakes that you should definitely avoid on your resumes. The number one mistake I have seen is that the resume itself is way too long. Now with pharmacy, this is a little tricky because honestly in clinical roles, longer resumes are okay, but they're still definitely not recommended. Overall, your resume length should reflect your years of experience. And so if you're a student or an early professional, that should honestly not go past 1 or maybe 2 pages. Of course, in pharmacy school, we get a lot of experience through our IPI and API rotations, and we have posters and presentations. And I've seen that students have resumes that are very long. I've received resumes to review that are upwards of 7-8 pages long. And honestly, no matter where you are in the experience spectrum, that's extremely long. On average, recruiters are only looking at resumes for 6 seconds, again, no matter of what industry. And so how is someone even going to touch upon 8 pages in 6 seconds? It's just not possible. So really strive to make it 1 page, and if it's not possible, I would say a max of 2. The next most common mistake I have seen is incorrect formatting of your resume and typos within the resume. Honestly, your resume needs to be visually appealing, and that means that your formatting is correct and there just cannot be any typos. There's no reason for your resume to have typos. We have Microsoft Word and all these digital tools now that actually let us know of typos. So if you send a recruiter, a company, a resume with a typo, it comes across as super unprofessional. This is something you have to make sure of. It is just not professional to have typos in your resume. That is a document about yourself, and honestly, typos have no place there. So make sure you have no typos, but of course, with that, formatting needs to be correct. I see simple mistakes that are just not visually pleasing. An extra space, things going over lines, 2 spaces between letters and words where there should only be 1, different font sizes in the same line where it really doesn't make sense, different font types throughout your resume. Again, these are easy things that you should be able to pick up on, and if you don't, that honestly sends a message that you are not detail-oriented, you haven't looked over and read your resume, you aren't making sure it's in tip-top perfect shape to be sending to others. Again, just overall not a professional look. So absolutely make sure that once you are done editing the content and finalizing the content of your resume, you go through multiple times and check for typos, check for formatting errors, all of that stuff. The next most common mistake I have seen is that students and young professionals, and honestly professionals well into their careers that have 10 to 15 years of experience, still list all of their IPI and API rotations. Now, I know that as a student, especially if you don't have other experience, it might be in your favor to actually list all those, but try not to be repetitive. If you have 3 or 4 rotations in retail pharmacy, or 3 or 4 rotations in the same hospital, or multiples of the same type of experience, it's actually not adding to your resume. You've done the same type of work in that role and you're just taking up space on your resume. So I really recommend not having all of your rotations, again, especially if you're well into your career or if you're applying for jobs once you graduate. I know it kind of hurts to do this, but take yourself out of it and make sure that you actually look at all your experiences, especially your IPPs and APPs, and make sure that nothing's too repetitive. And if it is, and if it's not actually adding value to your resume, remove it. Make sure to do this. This is something that actually was a game changer for my resume, and it is my #1 recommendation. Make sure that your IPPs and APPs aren't just adding fluff to your resume, adding space. That again isn't adding value. The next most common mistake I have seen is recycling your resume. You cannot be using the same resume for different positions that you are applying for. An internship resume definitely looks very different from a job resume, or even within jobs and types of internships. Different companies, different industries, different types of roles require different things. So recycling your resume is actually not helping you. I have seen people do this many times. A lot of you guys, when you send your resumes, you tell me that you're applying to multiple positions with this one resume. And honestly, your resume isn't telling the story that you want it to for all these positions. It physically can't. So don't try to repurpose your resume. Every time you apply to a new position, look at your resume and make sure that all of the information is just as relevant for this position. This is extremely important to do, and I know it's tedious, but it is so important. Different positions require different things to be highlighted on your resume, and if you don't do that, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because you're not letting yourself get the best of that opportunity. So don't repurpose your resume. I know the information is generally going to be the same, but have a close look at it, change things as needed. It is so, so important. The next mistake that I have seen over and over again is writing a professional objective or summary at the top of your resume that doesn't actually add any value to the resume. I have seen this multiple times, and of course, the purpose of having that objective is to showcase that, hey, this is what I am, this is the schooling experience that I have, this is the work experience that I have, this is what I'm looking for in my professional life, and that summary is supposed to give the recruiter an idea of why you are applying for this position. But honestly, more often than not, the professional summaries that I have read don't actually tell me anything. They just list that you're a PharmD and that you want to work in, let's just say, the pharmaceutical industry. But it doesn't add any other color. I could probably get all that from the rest of your resume. So at that point, you're just wasting those few lines at the top of your resume. And again, if that person spends that 6 seconds reading the top of your summary and doesn't actually get any value from it, then it's not of any use to you. You really need to use that summary to not only summarize your experiences, but also tell the person why you're a good fit for this role, why you're looking into the industry and that specific role, and why your experiences actually add up to that. Don't just restate your resume. That's not going to help you. So definitely, if you're going to have a summary at the top of your resume, make it fruitful, add value to it, make sure it actually tells the person what it needs to. Otherwise, it's a waste of lines. And if that's the case and you can't make it a summary that actually adds value, then remove it. Then the rest of your resume will speak for itself. You don't need that professional summary. But again, if you're going to have it, make sure it adds value. The next mistake that I have seen is under work experiences in your bullet points. A lot of you guys just list duties that you did in that job and not actually list any accomplishments. Now, this is a fine line, but this is where, again, you want to make sure you're adding value to your resume. Especially in pharmacy, a lot of our roles that you're going to have experiences in are pharmacy technician, pharmacy intern, etc. Roles like that. And honestly, a lot of the duties that you do in those roles are very, very similar. But nobody wants to read over and over again that you filled prescriptions, that you helped patients, that you improved a medication list for a patient. Again, these are things that people do as duties over and over again. You can list them once on your resume in one experience or lightly list it in one bullet, but go beyond that. List the accomplishments you made in that role. Why did you specifically add value? What did you do beyond those duties that really, again, brought value in that role? What were you recognized for? What general accomplishments did you have? That's the kind of stuff you really need to highlight because, again, those duties, those everyday pharmacy duties, aren't really adding to your skill set. They're not letting the person know why you're a good fit, why you are a good employee. That's just telling them that you can do your job, but you need to go beyond that. So again, really take a close look at those bullet points. That is the most important part of your resume. And if you're just listing everyday duties, it's not going to help you. The last mistake that I have seen over and over again is that your resume doesn't actually tell the hiring manager why you should be hired. Like I kind of alluded to in the last point, I see a lot of resumes that just list, I did this, I did this, I did this. But okay, so what? And that so what never gets answered throughout the resume. This is through work experiences, this is through leadership, this is through the professional summary, this is through listing your skills. You need to give the person an answer as to why you in your resume. That has to happen in this document. You cannot just list your duties. That's not going to help you stand out from the crowd. It's not going to help you get chosen for an interview for the position. Honestly, anyone can come in and do a list of jobs in a role. You don't necessarily need to be overly skilled to do that, but what did you do that really took that role to the next level? What did you do to help your patients, to help your preceptors, to help your customers actually live better lives? What did you do that actually makes you stand out, and what are those qualities that you should be hired for? Again, go beyond your duties, but this goes in every sense. This goes in listing your skills, again, your leadership, your presentations, and your posters. You want to explain the why straight away in your resume because that is exactly how you're going to get your interviews. And that is, of course, the purpose of a resume. You want to get that next interview so that you can actually talk to the person and explain yourself. But if you don't explain your why in your resume, you're not even going to get the chance to talk to the person. This is definitely the most overlooked thing in every resume. And it is very hard to do, but it is so, so important. Again, it's the only thing that's going to really help you land that position. Because if I see a resume as a hiring manager and a person is just listing all the duties that they can do, I could honestly hire anyone to do the duties. But how do I know that this person is going to be successful in making sure that this department, this company, that the customers will really be elevated into the next level? I want that type of an employee. So you want to make sure that you are actually presenting yourself like that. Those were the 7 most common mistakes I have seen while reviewing most of your guys' resumes and seeing other resumes in general. I hope that this is really helpful for you guys. Again, these are things that are very, very important, and these are things that I have personally worked on my resume. These don't come easy, and nobody's gonna really teach you these things, so I do hope this is helpful, but I'm sure you guys have follow-up questions. So if you guys do, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will be sure to answer them. I do think this is incredibly important, and nobody is really resume coaching out there, especially for pharmacy resumes. If you guys found this video helpful at all, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you have not already for more helpful information like this. Thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you learned something from the 7 most common mistakes. That is it for me today, and you guys will see me in the next video.